Joplin's Health Board meets for the first time in more than 2 years with a focus on COVID numbers and getting folks vaccinated. The anniversary of the Joplin tornado for many is a painful reminder of what was lost. Tonight, we hear about coping with that loss.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin Health Board meetings were brought to a temporary halt due to the pandemic, but now they're back and tackling the very same pandemic that sidelined them all of last year. This is KOAM News at 6. The Health Board met today at the Health Department to discuss several issues, including current COVID numbers and future issues they'd like to tackle. For the city, officials say the Health Department has provided around 4,500 vaccine doses, and the city is averaging about 4 COVID cases per day. However, numbers of people getting vaccines at clinics are trending down, which is something the Health Department would like to change.
We're kind of changing our focus to kind of get vaccine out there more to where the individuals are, and that's the focus across the region as well.
Tonight at 10, we're going to tell you one of the ways the Health Department is working to get the vaccine out to the community and some of the other issues they're wanting to tackle this year. After fighting the pandemic in Michigan, some local health professionals returned home today. 14 nurses and doctors from Via Christi in Pittsburgh were deployed to Michigan last month. At the time, the state was seeing a spike in cases and record numbers of hospitalized children. Since then, cases have decreased and the local health professionals returned home with some lessons.
Very, very, very gracious for the help. And to teach, because that world is a little different than my world in a clinic versus working in a hospital in ICU. But it was a great experience.
Michigan's 7-day rolling average for new COVID-19 cases is 1,713. 3 weeks ago, that number was 5,744. Checking in with Nick. Kelly saw the sun today, but we're seeing some showers out there at the moment, Nick.
Yeah, it was nice to see the sun, Dal. That helped push temperatures up near 80 degrees and kept us mainly dry, which is a nice change of pace. However, Mother Nature's putting the rain machine back at work once again. We have some scattered rain and a couple of thunderstorms on the Kansas side, trying to percolate right now, but like the past several nights, any of our thunderstorm chances returning tonight, they're not going to turn into anything too crazy. All the good chances for severe weather will stay to the south, but our stubborn upper level storm system and front near the surface, it's going to bring the rain chances back in and keep them around for the rest of the evening and overnight hours. Upper 70s is where most of us sit right now. We'll fall through the 70s, 68 by midnight. Most of us dropping back to 64, so we do stay mild tonight, Dal, despite these rain chances working back in. We'll see if we have a chance to dry out anytime soon for a good while coming up here in a bit.
All right, see you then. Thanks. A Joplin man is dead from a head-on crash in Carl Junction, Missouri. It happened on 171 north of Gum Road. Investigators say a car driven by 77-year-old Viola Hagg of Carl Junction crossed the center line and hit a car driven by 40-year-old Adam Dillo of Joplin. Dillo was killed. Hagg and a passenger in her car were both taken to the hospital with what police call disabling injuries. Arkansas's Department of Transportation fired an employee who was responsible for inspecting a bridge that connects Arkansas and Tennessee over the Mississippi River. Take a look at why. Officials say drone video showed evidence of that fracture as early as May of 2019. But the employee missed it, both in 2019 and then again upon another inspection last year. The bridge had to be shut down for emergency repairs last week when other officials noticed the damage. Not only did that disrupt traffic crossing over between Memphis and eastern Arkansas on Interstate 40, maritime transport under the bridge also had to be temporarily halted. That held up more than 60 vessels with more than 1,000 barges between last Tuesday and Friday. Repairing the bridge for road traffic is going to require 2 phases of construction.
So our first phase in this fix for the bridge repair is where we're going to be having some plates, 35-foot long plates, steel plates going on each side of the fracture beam that's the lowest member on the bridge that you see over there. Our expectation is to have that fabricated Wednesday and Thursday of this week TDOT has trucks ready to go on standby with help support vehicles also to go pick up the material, the two plates, which weigh about 18,000 pounds, and bring them directly to the job site. So our Phase 2 design is also underway. Phase 2 is going to enable us to put equipment in, the resources in, to span that fracture, to be able to cut the fracture out and replace the fracture with a brand new material.
No reopening date has been set. Prosecutors accuse a Kansas House member of battery against two teenage students while working as a substitute teacher. The suspect is Republican State Representative Mark Samsel of Wellsville. A criminal complaint alleges that Samsel made physical contact with two teenage students and harmed one of them. Authorities are charging Samsel with 3 counts of misdemeanor battery. Still ahead, for many, even 10 years since the Joplin tornado, scars remain, some physical, others are harder to see.
I would have panic attacks, or to the point that if it was raining or whatever.
We'll hear from a couple of tornado survivors about their journey and coping with the loss from the May 22nd, 2011 Joplin tornado. As we approach the 10th anniversary of the Joplin tornado, for some, May 22nd, 2011 will seem like a distant memory. But for many survivors and those directly impacted, it's a reminder of one of the worst days of their lives. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how some of them have learned to live with the scars. A warning, some of the content we're about to show you may be disturbing to some viewers.
Mason Lillard remembers it like it was yesterday.
We get a phone call from my aunt that said, you guys need to take shelter now. There's a tornado over Joplin. We were in the back seat and we were praying.
She and her cousin Lage were with their grandpa making what was supposed to be a quick stop at Home Depot. She remembers being sucked into the tornado in the back seat of a 1-ton pickup.
I had a 1-inch piece of angle iron go through my right shoulder, break 7 ribs, puncture my lower lung, and come out my back, a 1/4 inch away from my spine, a 1/4 inch away from my liver. He was sucked out of the truck.
My skull split open, so somebody came and held the purse over my head.
Mason needed multiple surgeries, and Lage spent a full year in the hospital, then had to go through rehab. They've both made great strides physically, but the emotional scars remain.
I would have panic attacks, or to the point that if it was raining or whatever, I would not even get in the car.
After a few years, she learned that music helped, helping her tune out what was happening. Now, her dog helps calm that anxiety.
I now can drive if it's storming myself, which is kind of a big overstep from being in a vehicle during the tornado.
For Liz Easton, the tornado anniversary reminds her of what she lost.
I get a little tearful because we lost some really good friends. My daughter, she lost a lot of things, and everyone deals with it differently, but to some it was like a rape. Something took control over them and took something from them. And so we've had a long journey with that.
She says her family has moved past the pain, focusing on the positives that came out of the tragic event and how far the community has come since. But if you haven't come to that point, it doesn't mean you're broken.
Everyone recovers at their pace. There is no shame in something still bothering you after 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. That's okay.
Psychologist Charles Doyle explains anniversaries, memorials, storms, and even weather forecasts can bring back memories from the past trauma. For those who have learned to live with the scars, like Lillard and Easton, it's a reminder of how far they've come instead of just being painful. And he explains that everyone can get to that point.
We can't really recover if we don't engage those things and begin to deal with them and reprocess them and make them to have a healthier meaning for us. And for some, that might mean really engaging it purposefully. That might mean going to a memorial service, or go to a gravesite, or go to the property site where you were. Or it might mean that you read some things about it or journal about it, and just sort of make it better in your own heart and your own mind.
Lillard and Easton both say what helps them is focusing on the positives and continuing to push forward.
The journey has gone on, and I wouldn't want to do it again, but I appreciate what we've taken from it.
You're not alone, and don't be afraid, because it's not fully your battle. It's also God's battle of what He wants to do for you.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
We're going to have more tips from Dr. Doyle on ways to cope with past trauma on our website tonight. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. And most importantly, if you are still struggling, don't feel ashamed to reach out to someone for help. While some still struggle with the scars of the 2011 tornado, Joplin emergency officials are focused on what people might forget. In the years since the disaster, officials like Jasper County Emergency Management Director Keith Stammer have worked on policies and programs to prevent the worst from happening again. But as the years wear on, Stammer says it gets harder to make sure people are aware of those programs.
Every year we get a little farther away from the Joplin tornado. Every year we have a little less interest in our storm programs and in our safety programs. And so we have to constantly promote storm safety just to remind people what has happened to us.
The addition of public storm shelters is just one of the changes made by the city and other local officials to enhance safety during severe weather. You can find a list of those shelters on our website. Again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Tomorrow, as we continue our countdown to the tornado anniversary, we have an update on KCU construction and look at how the Mercy temporary location influenced the construction of the new medical school. That's tomorrow on KOAM News at 6. Later, area students ditch the books and get a history lesson at the site of a Civil War battle.
And even though we stayed warm for sure today, we have more rain chances working in as we speak. Forecast up next. Aside from a few early morning showers in a few of our southern counties, we managed to keep things pretty dry for much of the day. In fact, peaks of the sun allowed us to push highs near 80 this afternoon, a nice change of pace after dealing with wave after wave of rain since last Friday. But while we did see a break in the action for today and much of the afternoon, we're now starting to see activity percolate once again. So it was again nice to see the dry time because we need it, considering we picked up at least 1.5 inches ever since our rain chances ramped up last Friday. And needless to say, follow the color coding on the legend here. You can see how some spots picked up over 2, if not 3 inches of rainfall, especially where the heaviest pockets of the rain came on down. Again, we were quiet for much of the day, but not only do we have a complex trying to graze us from the south, we've had some random little showers and thunderstorms, mainly on the Kansas side popping up. We had a shower work over Kansas, make that Pittsburgh, Kansas, and Frontenac not too long ago. But any really of the spotty storms that we're seeing on the board from north of Moran, Garnett, Burlington, Yates Center, and a little bit patchy around Parsons and close to Fredonia and Independence. So these rain chances will be sticking around again for the evening. But again, kept complaining about the temperatures. Mid-70s yesterday after we dropped back into the mid-60s. We hit 80. Last hour at Joplin Regional Airport, and with the increase in the clouds, we have fallen back a little bit, 77 degrees, but it still feels like 79 with that dew point sitting at 63. Everyone's in the upper 70s, between 77 and 79 degrees. We'll fall back eventually into the upper 60s by midnight, down into the mid 60s tonight as we stay mostly cloudy, and we deal with yet more scattered rain and thunderstorm chances working in. Fortunately, like the past several nights, any good chances for strong to severe storms will stay just to our south and to our east. But you can see our stubborn front still trying to drive these rain chances, while another front well to the northwest of us, that's the one that could bring in the better shot for severe storms by early next week. In the meantime, though, this stubborn upper low is going to finally start getting the hint and start lifting to the north as we go through tomorrow and certainly Thursday. That will help lower our rain chances, especially as we get to the weekend. But for this evening, we'll have the scattered random showers and thunderstorms. The radar may not look exactly like this, but you get the idea. Everyone has a chance to pick up on some scattered rain and storms. Not a complete washout all evening or all night long. long. But the rain chances around for Wednesday morning and again for Wednesday afternoon. Despite all that, we'll be warm again. 64 in the morning, 73 by noon, highs near 77. A little cooler than today, sure, but that's still warm and close to where we should be for this time of the year. Rain chances, they'll continue Wednesday night and into Thursday, so just within the next 2 days alone, we could see yet another ½ inch to almost 2 inches of rainfall before we finally see the stubborn upper level low lift up to the north. We could hold on to some scattered storms for a good portion of the weekend, but as long as that upper ridge starts to build in for the weekend, that's going to drive those rain chances down and keep our severe threat, thankfully, on the very low side. 77 tomorrow, 78 Thursday, lower 80s from Friday, taking us into early next week. Again, Dow, thankfully, no severe weather in the immediate horizon. We'll hold off on those chances until the middle of next week.
Yeah, some wet days ahead potentially, but nothing severe for a little while anyway.
Certainly good news.
Thanks, Nick. Still ahead, the True Charity Summit in Joplin looks at approaches to addressing poverty in the 4 states. Area students today got a history lesson at the site of a Civil War battle. The Sherwood Raider Farm Civil War Park in Jasper County, Missouri hosted a free event to educate students and the public about a battle that happened there in 1863. Today's event was special because May 18th is the anniversary of that battle.
I think so many people don't realize how much history occurred in this very region. In fact, many people don't realize that Missouri was the 3rd most contested state during the Civil War. Only Virginia and Tennessee had more battles than we did.
During the battle in 1863, 18 Union soldiers from Fort Gibson in Baxter Springs, Kansas were killed. Charitable organizations gathered in Joplin today for an event about addressing poverty. The True Charity Summit was at Joplin's Forest Park Church. Organizers say it featured leading voices in charity in the U.S. to share their experience in combating poverty in their communities.
We've got this summit where we've invited charity workers, and they're coming from all over, and we've got these national speakers who are really trying to address these issues at the local level, and we're excited to share some maybe some unconventional ways, or maybe there are old ways that need to be revisited and reapplied to address these issues more effectively.
The True Charity Summit will continue tomorrow. Final check on the weather is next. We take time now to honor a local veteran. Sergeant Greg Whelan served in the U.S. Air Force. From 1987 to 1991, he was with the 351st Security Police Squadron. His hometown, Galena, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Sergeant Greg Whelan. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Jordan Obby joins us now with a look at what's coming up on our sister station KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, Northeast Oklahoma land that used to belong to baseball legend Mickey Mantle could soon be sold. Plus, the growing movement of renovating old, shut-down prisons into movie sets, parks, and homeless shelters. And you might be in the mood for a snack tonight, I don't know. So we're going to tell you about what might be a perfect pair with that snack. The world's first pickle hard seltzer. That and more tonight, KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Always in the mood for a snack. That one in particular, I don't know, but we'll have to learn more at 9.
Yeah.
Nick Kelly, rain chances.
Yeah, they're back in here for tonight, and they'll continue tomorrow with highs near 77. We'll taper out those rain chances for the weekend as we climb back into the 80s.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 10. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.